Hi guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Warriors lead way as average value of NBA team reaches $4.6 billion. The NBA, where a big three combination of players often prof successful on the floor, has a big three in terms of franchise value. The Golden State Warriors, New York Knicks and Los Angeles Lakers are the league's most valuable franchises by a wide margin. Sportico announced in its annual assessment on Wednesday the Warriors are worth $9.14 billion, the Knicks $8.3 billion and the Lakers $8.07 billion. Per the report, Golden State is considered the second most valuable franchise in U.S. sports, trailing only the Dallas Cowboys $10.3 billion. Warriors come to Brandon Pod's realization that many fans already knew after so many expectations of a significant leap entering his second year. It's been anything but for Brandon Podmski over the first 25 games of the Golden State Warriors season. Pod's poor form has led to a raft of often over-the-top criticism on social media, but even he himself would acknowledge that his production has been far below his own lofty expectations. The Warriors have come to a realization on Brandon P. It must be said that the Warriors haven't helped Podziemski by any means. Sure, he may have been given the playing time that so many fellow young players haven't been afforded at the franchise in recent years, but it actually went too far, to the point where the responsibility simply didn't match up to Pod's skill set and experience. After choosing to waive Chris Paul and allowing him to walk to the San Antonio Spurs in free agency, Golden State essentially announced their intentions for Podziemski when they chose not to add another veteran point guard. Not only did they pigeonhole Podziemski into having to play point guard minutes without any prior experience, but they did so without having a safety valve in place that could step in quickly if things went out. The fact the Warriors didn't try to protect themselves from such an obvious risk is quite simple mind boggling, with the below quote from this article on September 6 outlining an almost inevitable issue that was going to arise at this stage. There appears to be little in the way of contingency plans if Stephen Curry goes down, or if Podziemski simply proves incapable of running an NBA offense so early in his career. It took until a quarter of the way through the season, but the Warriors finally came to the realization that they made a mistake. Speaking on Tuesday, head coach Steve Kerr, buying 95.7 the game, admitted that the franchise has put Podziemski in a tough spot. He's really ideally suited as a secondary playmaker, not the primary shot creator. I think we've put him in a tough spot this year based on our roster and based on our combinations. Kay said the Warriors are actually very fortunate that at the same time they came to this realization, an obvious solution became available via the trade market. There's no coincidence that Golden State traded for Dennis Schroeder as quickly as they possibly could, sending to Anthony Melton, Rez Beekman and 3 second-round picks in a deal that became official on Sunday. It will now be interesting to see how Podziemski plays alongside Schroeder in the Warriors' second unit, and whether he can rediscover last season's impact without the point guard burden that was initially placed upon him. Warriors linked to $9 million NBA champion in trade market. The Warriors acquired Dennis Schroeder in a blockbuster trade on December 15, but the franchise is not done making moves. According to General Manager Mike Dunleavy Jr., the team plans to be aggressive in trying to acquire a few more pieces ahead of the February 6 trade deadline. According to Clutch Point's Brett Siegel, Wizards forward Kay Kuzma has emerged as a potential Warriors trade target. Believe it or not, Kuzma actually holds a strong market as a secondary player who has proven to be able to lead his team's offensive attack at times. Siegel wrote on December 13, the Warriors, Trailblazers, Sacramento Kings, Indiana Pacers and Detroit Pistons have all been linked to Kuzma recently. Sources said it is worth noting that the Milwaukee Bucks also expressed interest in Kuzma previously, yet it would be almost impossible for them to acquire him due to second apron restrictions. The Lakers, Heat and Cleveland Cavaliers are 3 other teams that have been in the Kuzma market over the last year. According to Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype, the Warriors would likely not have to part with any significant assets to acquire Kuzma, who has owed $23.5 million in 2000 2024-25 and roughly 40 million over the 2025-26 and 2026-27 seasons. The Warriors could theoretically just ship out Andrew Wiggins and a second-round pick to Washington in exchange for Kuzma. However, if they were to target star players like Jimmy Butler and Brandon Ingram, both of whom are said to be available, the Warriors could be forced to part with Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podolsky and at least one of their 3 tradable first-round picks on top of Wiggins or Kevin Looney to match salaries. ESPN's Bobby M. Arks explained on December 16 that the Rockets, another team linked with Butler, has an easier path to acquiring the superstar from Miami. Luxury tax teams such as the Warriors and Dallas Mavericks would need to trade a quarter of their roster to match salaries. Marks wrote the Houston Rockets on the other end would make the most sense because they have the contracts Dillon Brooks and salary fillers first-round capital and are well below the apron. If the Warriors prioritize a trade for Kuzma over Butler, there could be a lot of benefits. For one, Kuzma, adept at playing off the ball, won't disrupt Golden State's movement-heavy offense and would presumably fit into the second unit as a scorer. On the other hand, a player like Butler, who thrives in ISO situations, would need the ball a lot more and force the Warriors to change some of their actions. Kuzma, a career 17.3 PPG scorer, played a critical role in the Lakers' 2020 championship run when he averaged 10.0 points, 3.1 rebounds and January 2, 300 p.m. off the bench, while he played only 6 more playoff games in the 2020-21 season. Kuzma will bring a much-needed veteran presence to Golden State's second unit. Warriors GM Dunleavy Jr. made it clear on December 16 Warriors were in the market for a player who can contribute right away, a description that fits Kuzma. "We're in a time zone here of maximizing our window with Steph Draymond and Steve Kerr as our coach," Dunleavy said via ESPN. "So as proven here on the first day, we could basically make trades with certain players. We did that for the most part. One, feel good about this team, particularly on the defensive end, and now we have a player that we think could create and generate more offense for us. I want to evaluate and see, but we'll always be looking at stuff in early December." Lou Williams also explained why Kuzma would be an ideal fit for a veteran team such as Golden State. "Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma are better off being second and third options somewhere else. Very talented guys. But they're not ready to lead an organization, and it shows in the play." And you, fan, what do you think of the situation of Kuzma? Leave your opinion in the comments.